Good morning. Welcome back. It's Friday Coffee Talks episode 67. Today we have the Jimmy Fallon mug. That is for a reason. Excellent coffee today. The reason behind the mug is I did choose it on purpose, and that is because today's topic is something that I love to do more than just about anything else, and that is laughing. Specifically laughing at comedy. I love comedy. I'm a big comedy buff. Love it, love it, love it, love it. It's my first love. I love action. Don't get me wrong. Good action movie. Tom Cruise hanging off a plane or jumping off something. Feed that right into my veins. Big Marvel boy over here. Can't get around that. But comedy is the first love. I fly on a lot of planes. I've watched a lot of comedy movies over and over and over and over again because I just love to laugh. It's one of my favorite things to just turn off my brain and just laugh at something that is really funny. So, specifically, what I want to talk about today is something, a industry of comedy called improv. It's specific, it's unique, it does things a little bit differently. Now, don't get me wrong, I love stand-up comedy. In fact, for my birthday tomorrow, we are going to a stand-up show. Very much looking forward to that. I love comedy movies. I've done a whole episode on here about comedy movies. But improv, to me is one of my favorites because it adds a layer of difficulty, which to me adds a layer of appreciation for the people that do it and that do it well. So I grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? Love that show. It's fantastic. But the pinnacle of improv, as my sister, who is an improv comedian, would tell you, is Saturday Night Live. I can never say that well. Saturday Night Live. It's the thing that everybody that gets into improv is trying to do. Lorne Michaels changed the game when he created the show in the 70s. And I'm a big SNL geek. I love the history of it. I think part of that is that I got to grow up in one of the golden eras of SNL. Now, I know for those of you who are fans and have been fans for a long time, that can be fighting words. This is one of those things that to me is like saying who's the best basketball player of all time. You're just never going to find an answer. Nobody's going to tell you the best cast of SNL is blank. But to me, I kind of classify it into eras. There are certain eras of SNL. You had the OGs, you had Gilda Radner and Belushi and Chevy Chase, and even Norm Macdonald to a degree goes in that group. Colin Quinn. You've got all the classics back in the day. And then you had the period of Sandler and Farley and Molly Shannon and Spade and Rock and Tim Meadows. And you just had another like incredible cast of SNL of just game changers. But then the area that I identify with the most is the era from like the 2000s SNL. Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig, Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey, Seth Meyers, Andy Samberg. It's where the show started to kind of take a turn a bit. Some of the traditional things ended and some new stuff started, like digital shorts popped up. But arguably one of the greatest eras of SNL of all time. Will Ferrell is definitely in that discussion for the GOAT of SNL. I would put that he's pretty near the top. But so I grew up with those names, and I grew up being a huge fan of that type of comedy, where people are making things up as they go, sketch comedy and these crazy characters. I mean, you've got too many to name. It's an endless list of people who have come through SNL, and a lot have gone on to be popular elsewhere. Some have kind of flamed out, but to me, it's such an awesome thing because it's not, well, SNL is prepared, it's written sketches, but improv in general, when you go to like an improv show, it's not somebody standing up and reading off of a thing of material they've prepared. Now, there's a place for that, and that's great. Stand-up comedians are awesome. I love going to stand-up shows, but improv is such a unique thing. And I think the reason for that is because it is made up on the spot. It takes an extra level of talent. The reason that I bring this up is I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and one of the hosts was a comedian, or one of the guests, was a comedian. And he was talking about that he had done an improv class, and that his first class, when they first walked in the door, the first thing they told him was, "We're not here for us to make you funny. We're here to teach you how to listen." And that is, to tie it back to work just a little bit, so it's not just an episode about comedy. That is important in selling. I think there are more parallels than people would think between improv comedy and selling, because our job is to listen. If you show up to a meeting and you just start rattling off your slides and you go through the same pitch that you've done a bazillion times, it's not going to connect with people. It might be fine, and it might be, funny to make the comedy reference. That may be more like a stand-up routine, but I would argue that the best sellers are the ones that listen. They take what's given to them and they adapt on the fly to be able to tailor their message, tailor their pitch, tailor a meeting around what the people that are on the other side of the table actually want to hear and where they're leading them to. So in an improv show, the kind of rule of improv is yes and. You never say no. If somebody says something, you say yes, you accept it, and you expand upon it. You take what you know, you take what you've experienced, and you add to the scene to make it better, to change it, to improve it, to whatever. But you're never taking something that somebody else is saying and trying to negate it or argue against it. You're taking what's given to you and you're adapting along with it. And I think that's such an important skill for sellers to be able to handle. I mean, to me, I think that's the ultimate sign of knowing what you're selling and being good at pitching your product is being able to adapt and to show up to a meeting expecting one thing and then get handed something totally different and be able to roll with that and to still be able to have a good presentation, have a good meeting, and get a good outcome out of it. So yeah, let's make that analogy. Sellers are the improv comedians of the business world. Sure, I'll take that. I think it's something that's very important. It's something that the good sellers should be able to do. No matter what you've prepared, no matter what you know or what you think you're going to talk about, to show up to a meeting, to get some feedback from your customer or from your prospect or whoever you're talking to, and to be able to tailor the message to their requirements, what they're looking for at that moment, and to be able to do that in real time. It takes some skill, just like improv. So that's what I got for today. I hope you enjoy. Watch SNL on tomorrow night, and we'll catch you guys next week. Enjoy some coffee. See y'all then.